Hey guys, with the upcoming release of the Nintendo Wii U, I thought it would only make sense for me to make a sort of a goodbye video for the Nintendo Wii, showing my Nintendo Wii collection, which is obviously a work in progress. I'm gonna keep collecting games for it. In fact, there are a few games that I really want to get that I haven't bought yet for the system, like Donkey Kong Country Returns. But without further ado, let's get into my collection, which for the most part I believe the games are in alphabetical order. So let's start with we're off to a very good start because this is one of my favorite Wii games, and it's a boy and his blob. This is a very fun adventure platformer with a lot of puzzle elements. That it's based on an NES game that was released in the late 80s, and this is not only one of the most underrated Wii games, but in my opinion one of the most underrated games of this generation. So definitely check this out. It's a very charming game with fantastic hand-drawn animations and graphics. So check A Boy and His Blob out. Really good game, and you can get it for cheap, for under $20 for sure. The next one is Animal Crossing City Folk, which I'm not gonna lie, I have not played this game a single minute yet. I was a big fan of the Nintendo GameCube version of the game. I put hundreds of hours into it, and I've read that this game was extremely similar to it. So I bought it because it was a Nintendo Select budget title, and I think I got this one for free because they had some kind of promotion. But I think I'm gonna wait for the Animal Crossing for the 3DS, which is, I think, the next one in the series that's gonna have several new features. The next one is Cursed Mountain, and this is the limited edition version of the game. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, the only reason I bought this game is because the limited edition, which is the steel book or steel case, was really cheap in Amazon for $5. This has like a DVD with like the how they made the game and stuff. Very interesting. I bought it because it was cheap, but this is actually a very interesting survival horror game that takes place in the mountains. I believe in the Himalayan mountains, and you go on this quest to save your brother who went on to look for this treasure quest in the mountains. So it's a pretty decent game. Not the best, but it's a decent survival horror game. If you're into survival horror games, I would say definitely check it out. Next one is Guitar Hero 3, and I bought this game when the whole plastic instrument music genre was taking over. This is in fact my most played Wii game. I checked my activity log, and I got this when I was in college, and this was definitely a favorite among my friends and roommates and whatnot. Every time we had parties, it was either Guitar Hero or Wii Sports playing. So it's definitely a game with a very music selection or set list if you're into rock music. So it was fun while it lasted. Next up is the Kirby's Collection 20th anniversary collection, which got released recently, and I have here it came with this special packaging because it also has a soundtrack CD. Very well put together compilation of games. I never really played any Kirby games before this, and I got my money's worth because I got to find out all about the Kirby series thanks to this game right here, and I'm glad I did. Very fun game, very easy platforming, but it's a very nice collection of games that range from the first Game Boy game to all the way to the Kirby 64 game. So I definitely had a lot of fun, and got my money's worth by purchasing that. Next up is the King of Fighters, the Orochi Saga for the Nintendo Wii. This was also released, I believe, for the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation Portable. I'm a huge King of Fighters fan, and this game has, I believe, 5 games. yeah, 5 complete games. It has King of Fighter 94, 95, 96, 97, and 98. And some of those titles are my favorite. You know, 97 and 98 are really, really good ones. They introduced the Orochi storyline into the game, so this is definitely a must-have for any fighting fan out there. And next up, steel sealed in the shrink wrap is Little King's Story. Now I already played this game in my friend's Wii console. I played it for about 2 hours or so, and it's a very fun RPG game. A little bit similar to Pikmin, I guess, where you control this little character, which is the king, and you know, you have to do several things, rule your kingdom and stuff. It's very fun. It's one of the best Wii games out there. Like I said, I only play about 2 hours at my friend's house, so I have to crack this one open and you know, play it at one point or another. But the reviews, they all agree that this is definitely one of the must-have titles for the Nintendo Wii. Next up is one of my favorite Wii games, and it's Mad World. It was developed by Platinum Games and published by Sega. I bought this when it first came out. Nowadays you can get it for like extremely cheap. I think you can get it for like $4 or $5 new at Amazon. This is a very short game. It's a black and white type of beat 'em up game that you play from a third-person perspective, and it's extremely gory, extremely violent. So keep that in mind. But it's very fun. I like the fact that it was not too long of a game, so I was able to beat it quick, and it has a very nice and interesting storyline to it. So definitely, since you can get this game for like literally nothing, definitely get this game. It's a very fun beat 'em up for the Nintendo Wii. Next up is Mario Party 8. I have not really played this game a whole lot, so I cannot give a comment. But from what I've heard, it's not one of the strongest entries in the series. Probably the Nintendo 64 versions are still the best. Next up is another budget Nintendo Select title, and this is Mario, what is the full name? Super Sluggers, Mario Super Sluggers. And I did play this game quite a lot. I beat the game. It's a very fun arcadey type of baseball game featuring all the Mario characters and, you know, the Mushroom Kingdom characters like, you know, Yoshi, Toad, and whatnot. It's a very fun game actually. It makes a decent use of the motion controls. I'm not a huge fan of the motion controls in this game, but it's fun for what it is. I think it's one game that it's worth checking out, especially considering that it's a budget Nintendo Select title. Next up, we have another budget title for the Nintendo Select series, and it's Mario Strikers. It's a soccer or a football game, depending on the part of the world where you live in. But this is I would say a below average game. I did not really have fun. I'm a huge soccer fan. You know, I love the sport, but you know, I don't think they did a good job of making the transition from, you know, making an arcadey fun type of game like I was hoping. So, but you know, for what it's worth, you know, I had some fun playing this game. Next one is one of my early favorite titles for the Nintendo Wii, and that is Mercury Meltdown. This is, I'm trying to remember why the heck I picked this game up. Probably because it was really cheap. This was actually, I think, my third game when I bought the Wii back in, you know, the launch date. And it's like an extremely fun game. It's actually a very, very interesting game. It makes excellent control of the tilting features of the Wiimote. And basically what you have to do is you have to control this Mercury blob throughout levels. And it's kind of like a marble game where you have to hold the Wiimote and balance it in order to lead the blob throughout the course. And as you progress farther into the game, more elements are added, like you can split the blob, then you have to maybe color the blob by passing it through a portal, and so it adds some I guess puzzle elements, or you have to come up with different tactics in order to beat the levels, and the game has like tons and tons of levels. I don't think I ever unlocked all of them, but this is a very fun game, and surprisingly it was a hit when I was back in college. People liked playing it, so yeah. Next one is another one of the early titles that I got for the Wii, and it's Metal Slug Onthology, which has I think seven of the Metal Slug games, and this is a classic. I think this is one of the best versions because the loading times are reduced. The only gripe I have with this game is that it does not support the classic controller for the for the Wii. So you have to play with like the nunchuck and the or you can use the Wiimote on sideways. But for those of you that have not played the Metal Slug games, this is another one of those shoot 'em ups type of games like Contra. But in my opinion, nothing can beat Metal Slug. This is the ultimate fun co-op shooter game that resembles Contra. So definitely worth tracking down if you can. Let's see. Next up, still sealed in the shrink wrap, and that is Metroid Other M. I got this game for $5 brand new at Best Buy, and I was actually a little bit scared picking this game up because I've heard so many negative things about it. Some of the fans even went as far as say that this game ruined the storyline for the series. So I'm really scared to give this game a shot because I'm a huge Metroid fan, and from what I've seen in the videos, the game doesn't really look that interesting. It mixes some, I think it mixes some third-person view type of action with first-person as well. So I don't know. I'll definitely give it a shot one of these days, but I'm a little bit scared of giving this one a shot, but it is what it is. Next up is probably my most prized possession in my Wii collection, and it's the Metroid Prime trilogy game. This is perhaps the hardest, or the most rare game for the Wii because Nintendo stopped printing the game very early on, and I'm actually glad I picked this when I did. I was lucky enough to get this back in the day for $20 when they were selling it at Target, and this game basically is it has all three Prime games into one disc, so it's a very worthy game if you're a fan of the Metroid Prime games. The only one I completed is Metroid Prime, the first one. I'm not gonna lie, I have not played. I did play the second one just a little bit, but the second and the third one, I really don't know a whole lot about it. So I have to really sit down and give those two a shot whenever I can. But if you can track this down, buy it now because the price keeps going up and up, and it's becoming one of those rare collectible games for the Wii library. So get it while you can. Next up is Monster Hunter 3 or Try. This is another game that I really haven't played a whole lot. I got the limited or collector's edition or whatever, mainly because it was on sale at Best Buy, and I really wanted to get the controller Pro that came included with the bundle. This is a game where has a lot of it's an action and exploration game where you just pretty much go into these vast environments and you go on this hunting monsters, and your job is to pretty much slay all these huge monsters. Seems like a very fun concept, but I really haven't put time into it, but I think I might try it out. This is coming out for the Wii U as well around March of next year, and it's gonna be like an updated version with HD graphics and more missions and more monsters and whatnot. So I might, you know, just jump straight out to the Wii U version. And the game also has co-op play online, which is, I'm sure it's fun if you play with friends and whatnot. Next up is another one of my favorite games for the system, and it's No More Heroes. The creator of this game, Suda51, is a crazy guy that likes to put a lot of art into, you know, the games, and this is essentially an action game. Very gory again, very heavy on action, a lot of blood everywhere, and you play as Travis Touchdown, and your job is to become the top assassin in the Santa Destroy City and collect money throughout the game, and with the money you can buy new weapons and swords and upgrade your equipment. Very fun game, and it's a little bit of an oddball because the game has a lot of flaws. There are parts that the frame rate it's very slow. There are parts that the controls are sluggish, but it's hard to explain it. But those flaws, you know, create this certain charm to the game that makes it enjoyable. Really hard to explain, but I would say this game is worth tracking down just because of the excellent enemy and character design and very funny story. Definitely one of my favorite Wii games. It's one of those niche weird games that are fun to play. And next up is the sequel, which is No More Heroes 2, Desperate Struggle. Not as good as the original one. This game has a little bit more of a linear approach. You still have to do the same deal. You have to, you know, kill assassins throughout the game, get more money. This game has a bigger emphasis on work. On the first game, you can also get, you know, jobs and to make extra money to upgrade your equipment. On this one, you also get jobs, and all the jobs are like mini games that are inspired on like 8-bit retro type of NES mechanics and graphics. So it's kind of cool in a way. It has this retro vibe and feel to it, but not as good as the first game. But definitely, I had fun playing this. So next up is one of my favorite games of all time, Okami. And yeah, this game is an epic adventure, 40 plus hours adventure, very similar to the Zelda series, where you play as Amaterasu, the goddess of, I believe the goddess of light, and it's set on feudal Japan. And it's just a really long game, but the pacing that this game has is unparalleled. Like, really, this game, in my opinion, it's a Zelda type game, but it has a better pacing and a better flow than any other Zelda game that I ever played. Just a fantastic game, but you do have to invest a lot of time into it. But the storyline, the characters, and like I said, the flow of the game really help a whole lot. So this is a truly Capcom masterpiece, and the Wii version, some people like it, some people don't. Personally, I thought it was a really good version because it allows you to use the Wii mode to draw the powers that you use in this game. So the game relies a lot on that. For example, if you want to cut through something, you just, you know, slide, you draw a line, and you cut stuff. So I think the Wii version did a good job of making use of the motion controls features. Next up, I have Pro Evolution Soccer 2009. This is perhaps the best, one of the best soccer games ever made. It makes use of the motion controls, or the IR pointer in the game. It makes the best use out of any game in the Wii library, in my opinion. With the pointer on screen, you can create any tactics you can. You can control In essence, you can control several players at the same time, which makes up for great tactical approaches in the game, and definitely very deep mechanic that it might take you a while to get used to, but this is definitely one of the best soccer games ever created. So this is the 09 version with Lionel Messi on the cover. He's one of my favorite players. And I also got the 2012 edition. This is essentially better than the 09 just because it has slightly better graphics and it has more teams. They added the Copa Libertadores license, which means that you can play with several South American teams. So yeah, definitely if you have a Wii and a 360 or a PS3, you would probably think, you know, I'll get the PS3 or 360 version for better graphics, but this is one of the weird occasions where you really have to get the Wii version of the game. The graphics are not as good, obviously, but I'm telling you, the IR, you know, pointer controls, they really help give the game more depth. So definitely check those games out if you like soccer. Next up is Pikmin New Play Control. I can't say a whole lot about this game. I never played any of the games in the GameCube, so I thought I'd buy the Wii version and give this one a shot. I probably played the game for just like about an hour and a half. I beat the first mission, which is sort of like a tutorial. And I already forgot. I mean, I played this game probably like 2 years ago, and I already sort of forgot how to play it. So if I go back to it, I'm gonna have to relearn everything. But it's a strategy type of game where you control. You're able to control several of these characters called, you know, the Pikmins, and you have to assemble your spaceship back so you can escape this planet. So it has a lot of puzzle elements and strategy, you know, elements as well. A lot of people like that game, so I should probably go back and check it out. Next up is Punch Out for the Wii. This is I guess a revival of the Punch Out series. Definitely a very fun game, very short. Even though I still haven't beat the game, I think I'm very close to actually beat the game. But this is just, you know, your typical arcadey type of boxing game. I'm a huge Super Punch Out fan for the SNES. This game, it's a little bit more similar to the NES version in terms of, you know, the gameplay mechanics, but still it's very fun, and it has beautiful art and graphics, cel shaded graphics, but like I said, it's a very short game, so keep that in mind. It's all about this game is all about finding the patterns that, you know, when you face the opponents, or, you know, the opposing boxers. It's just about finding the patterns, and you know, very fun game. Glad to have it in my collection. Next up is the Resident Evil Archive, and this game is essentially a port of the Nintendo GameCube version of the remake for the original Resident Evil. And let me just say that this is my favorite Resident Evil game of all time. It was the GameCube remake was so well done. The game has remarkable graphics, even though they're dated. I mean, even though they're supposed to be dated because the game was originally released in 2002, I believe. The game still looks great. And this Wii version doesn't add really anything, but it's nice to have it. I had to double dip just because I'm a huge Resident Evil fan, and this is definitely my favorite Resident Evil game of all time. Yeah. You have to have it if you're a survival horror fan. And they also released the Resident Evil 0 Archives, which is again a straight up port of the Nintendo GameCube version. Not among my favorite. This is not among my favorite Resident Evil games, but still a very good game. It introduced a new co-op sort of mechanic where you play with two players and you can switch between them back and forth. And it also has this interesting feature where you don't have any treasure chests to store your items. In this game, you have to drop your items on the ground, and if you need an item that you dropped somewhere, you have to go back to get it. So it might be a little bit of an annoying feature for some people, but I thought it was different and worth a try. So that's that. Next up is Resident Evil 4, the Wii edition. I mean, who hasn't played Resident Evil 4? I mean, this is a third-person view action game. Very few survival horror elements added to it, but still, this game, in my opinion, is one of the best games of all time. Very well crafted, very well designed, and in my opinion, this is the definite version of the game. Because the pointer controls in this game, they work remarkably well. The precision, once you get used to them, the amount of precision that you have in your shots, it's incredible. I play the crap out of this game on the GameCube. I beat this game on the GameCube, on the PlayStation 2, and I got it for the Wii, and I beat the game entirely, got all 5 stars in the mercenary modes. It's just that much fun to play this game. So this is a definite version, unless I have not tried the HD remake for the PlayStation 3 yet, but the Wii version is definitely a good option. And very cheap to get nowadays. So the next game is Resident Evil, the Umbrella Chronicles. This is a light gun type shooter game that's on rails. And surprisingly, this game is actually really fun. I wasn't expecting a whole lot when this game got announced, but this is a very fun game. I beat the entire game, and it's really fun if you have 2 people. It's more fun if you play with 2 people. Yeah, it does add a lot of. It sort of fills some of the holes in the storyline of the game, so it's definitely worth checking this out, especially if you're a hardcore Resident Evil fan. I still have to get the sequel for it, the Umbrella Chronicles, I believe it's called. So yeah, that's one of the Wii games on my wish list. Next up is Sam & Max Season 1. This game, I would not recommend it on the Wii. This is actually like a PC game that was ported to the Wii, and the only reason I got it is because it was cheap. The game itself, it's very fun. It's like a adventure, point and click type of adventure puzzle game where you have to find clues and solve mysteries and puzzles. You play as these 2 guys. They're freelance police. A really funny game, very funny dialogue, but the Wii version of the game has a lot of bugs, especially a very annoying one where the game freezes and locks your Wii up. So they did an awful job of porting this game into the Wii, so get the PC version instead. And Steel Sealed, Season 2 of Sam & Max. I have not played this game yet, and again, the only reason I got it is because I already had the Season 1 on the Wii, and this was very cheap, so I got it because I wanted to have everything in one collection, I guess. Next up is the Sky Crawlers. This is a game like action flying. I don't want to use the word simulator, but battle flying game that it's based off. I'm trying to think. I think it's based off on like a movie or an anime series. The only reason I got this is because I was interested. I remember walking into Best Buy and I saw the game there. I was like, oh, this looks interesting. I think I'm gonna buy it. So yeah, I did play the game. I quit about halfway through the game just because I got sidetracked, but for what I played, the game is actually very fun. It makes decent use of the motion controls, but it also supports the classic controller of the Wii, so very fun game. I think it's becoming a little bit rare, so if you can track it down, it's really worth it. Next up is the SNK Arcade Classics. Some of you may know I'm a huge Neo Geo fan, and this game, I bought it when it first came out. Obviously, it has 16 games, classic Neo Geo AES or MVS games included in this. Unfortunately, the emulation is fairly good. The loading times are also good, but unfortunately, SNK is a little bit of a mess when it comes down to managing their games. This is Volume 1, where it is. Yeah, here, Volume 1, and Volume 2 just never came around. So yeah, us Neo Geo fans got hang up a little bit, but I guess with the upcoming Neo Geo X, we can only hope that SNK is going to finally release all of the classic arcade games in one shot, because they keep their library is like incomplete. You cannot have all of the games, which is very annoying. Next up is Super Mario All-Stars. This is a game that came out to commemorate the 25th anniversary of Mario. I have the box right here. This game nowadays is a little bit hard to find. I'm not gonna say extremely rare, but I was lucky enough to get it while it was still available. And it's the as far as the game goes, I mean it's a straight up port of the Super Nintendo All-Stars game. So it was in my opinion, it was a very lazy effort on Nintendo's behalf to release this game. The only cool thing about it is that it comes with like this art book and soundtrack, but other than that, this is just the same old Super Nintendo game. But it's always interesting to have, because it has classics like the original Mario Bros, the second one, the Lost Level one, and Super Mario Brothers 3. So very good games, but a very lazy effort to celebrate Mario's 25th birthday, which in my opinion deserved better treatment. Next up is Super Mario Brothers Wii. What can I say about this game? It's a fun game, but it's not on par with the other platforming 2D side-scrolling games like Super Mario Brothers 3 for the NES or Super Mario World for the SNES, which in my opinion those are the type of games that are like the pinnacle of a genre. You can easily place those games in any list on top of those all-time favorite lists. And this game misses, it's a very good game, but it misses the boat. It doesn't have that feel of a masterpiece that those retro and past Mario platforming games had. So again, it's a fun game. It introduces new features, like for example, you can play with up to 4 people at the same time, which is pretty cool, and it can get pretty hectic, but also fun. But yeah, it just doesn't have that magic that, for example, Super Mario World has. But nevertheless, it's a very worthy game to check out. Next up, what do we have? Oh, Super Mario Galaxy. Yes, this game is one of the best 3D platformers ever ever made. This game, what can I say? This game is magical. It's still not my favorite 3D platformer Mario game. I think that prize goes to Mario 64. But nevertheless, this is a fantastic game. It introduces this new physics mechanic where you jump from one small planet to another, or from one meteor to another, and the game has a really good gravity physics into it, and just a charming art direction and a beautiful soundtrack. It's also a very long game, and it can get pretty challenging towards the end. So it's a classic Mario game that, in my opinion, everybody should have it. Next up is the sequel, which is Super Mario Galaxy 2, and the first Mario Galaxy game was an epic game, and when I really didn't know I didn't know how Nintendo could surpass itself, but they actually did. This game is actually better than the previous one, and this game has Yoshi as a new feature, but the levels are just better designed. The overworld has a better treatment. It has like that retro linear type of selection for the levels in the overworld. Soundtrack's still fantastic. Graphics, I think the graphics look even better than the first one. So yeah, this is definitely one of the best, one of the best 3D platformers. Again, not my favorite. Mario 64 still is, but definitely worth checking out.